Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. Today we are going to kind of continue on with the little series that we started where we were using trans tint dyes to dye the wood on a couple of ash bodies, including this guy right here. What I want to do is this one has been, the dye has been applied directly to the wood, and then we shot Simtech Easy Sanding Sealer over the top. And what we're going to do is, through the course of this video, we're going to sand it back and spray the same trans tint dye mixed with the color blender, like we did in the previous video where we showed you a sunburst. We're going to mix the exact same color aqua into the color blender, and then we're going to shoot that, and then we're going to put clear over the top. And I'm going to show you kind of a different way to go about the same issue of getting a cool color like this transparently using dye that's on the wood and then dye that's on top of the sealer, because a couple of you guys have asked for that. So this has been sealed, like I said, all the way around, and I even cut a control cavity in it there. Now a couple of people have asked me, why don't I make these holes go where, like say for example in here in this cavity, so that they hide. I don't want to hide these holes and the plugs. I think they look neat. So that's just me though. It's just kind of one of those things that I think it lets you know where this guy came from, because I'm not trying to hide the manufacturing process, because I like the manufacturing process. Sound good? Okay, let's go ahead and start sanding this guy. We're going to use a random orbit sander with a 220 grit pad on it, and we're going to hit the top and back, and then we'll do the sides with one of these little flexible blocks here. This is a piece of, this is like a doormat or something, or like a garden mat that we bought, and we cut it into little squares. It's nice because you can wrap sandpaper around it, and it gets a pretty flat surface, but is also bendy in a couple of different orientations. So we call these flip-flops anyway. But so I'm going to move the camera, and we're going to get started. And enough of the bullshit talk. Let's get to work. Okay, so I think I got everything pretty flat, and I'm just going to wipe some of this sawdust off. It's not really sawdust as much as it's sealer dust. Okay, now a couple of things happened, and I'm not 100% sure if you guys will be able to see or not, but you see how some of my green tint went away and some of my my wood color kind of came back. I was hoping that that would happen actually, because remember, we're going to mix up more of that dye and put it into color blender and spray it on top of here. So I wanted to just get everything nice and smooth, and all these little patches of, you know, kind of ash colored wood will go away when we put new color on in the next couple of steps. So I still have to sand down the front, and let's do that now.
to do. I'm getting thirsty, so please don't hurt me. I got the hunkered blues. You know I need it, yeah, I'm gonna feel it. I gotta set my mind right. Make it a double, I'm causing trouble. I'm getting loaded tonight. Come on, baby, give me a drink. I ain't fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. You know it's useless to make excuses to try to get me to stop. How about a whiskey? I'm feeling tipsy. I drink it down from the top. Shot up tequila, yeah, I can feel you, and I ain't getting sick. The night ain't over, I'm far from sober. It's hitting me like a brick. Come on, baby, give me a drink. I'm fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me right now. Give it to me, give it to me. You make me wanna go, wow! Come on, baby, give me a drink. I ain't fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. Come on, baby, give me a drink. Whoa, yeah, I ain't fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. Come on.
Okay, so I didn't just take my sander and roll off this edge here, because as you can see, I burned through on a patch. Whoa, boy. I burned through on a patch right there. That's okay, because we're going to add more. I just don't want a whole lot of burn throughs, you know what I mean? So we'll go ahead and fix that. We'll get that, that little round over part with the flip-flop and some 220. And it should be good. Let's go ahead and do the edge and make sure we're good there. It's going to take a little bit more time because it's end grain and I'm doing it by hand. Now, don't tell Chris, but I'm actually going to increase the grit of my paper to 180. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to switch back to 220, and we're also going to get our round over. I didn't want to do that with 180. Okay, I introduced my guitar body to compressed air, and now I want to get as much of this dust off as I can, because the next step is very, very important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for any low spots in my finish, or any places where my sealer isn't all the way leveled out. Because the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this for more color, and then after the color, it'll be ready for clear coat. Now, I want to make sure that everything looks level, because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run Scotch-Brite over this whole thing, and that will hide a lot of imperfections for now, but you'll see them later. And man, does it suck when your finish is really good everywhere else, but you discover a little pinhole or a little not quite level area. So you want to make sure to get all this dust off as best you can. I'm already seeing some patches here on the cutaway that need some more attention. So we'll just go ahead and get those now before we Scotch-Brite, because Scotch-Brite would make those kind of disappear to the eye. But then of course all that stuff would come back later on. Okay? A few down here. Of course it's always in the place where it's the hardest to get. So you should look there first. Alright. That looks pretty decent. I've got a few right here on the edge. I'm not going to worry too much about those because the Scotch-Brite will make those go away. But anything that you can do prep-wise to make your finish look awesome down the line will be worth it. Your patience will be rewarded. Look at that. Dang it. So you know they say that finish is the hardest part of guitar building. What it actually is prep work for finish. All my guys who paint know that, right guys? Alright, so I've sanded with 220 and now I'm going to grab some Scotch-Brite and smooth it down a little bit more and it will be ready for some color. You know, in some ways this thing looks good enough to just go ahead and bolt together or put clear on and bolt together. But I do have a couple of sand throughs like right here and right here, and I'm going to make all of those go away with some color blender with trans tint aniline dye mixed into it. There's a patch right there that I burned through. That's okay. So anyway, that will be the next step. I think I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape from the neck pocket and reapply, because what can happen is you can get a buildup of sealer around there, and I want to have that line be nice and crisp. So I'll probably do that before we paint. But we're not going to actually be able to paint for another couple of days because Chris is gone and he's taking some time off. But get a load of this, guys. This is going to be cool. The next time you see it, it will be in the paint booth. Well, we decided that this needs to be a two-part video because it's getting really, really long and we're stretching over the course of a couple days. Plus, I want to make sure that we have a video that we can post more regularly. So we're actually going to take this over to the spray booth now, but you're going to have to wait until tomorrow to see that. Okay, guys, sorry to bum you out with that, but it's going to be worth it, I promise. So if you still like this video, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button, why don't you go ahead and do that now? We just crested 15,000 subscribers, and that is so cool. Thank you guys so much for doing that. If you're having a good time with these cabin fever videos, please share these on all the forums that you guys are going to and help us grow the channel that way. And if you appreciate content like this, you might want to go over to our Patreon page and consider becoming a member. Even $1 a month goes a long way to helping us bring you guys neat stuff like this. While we have the bandwidth, we're going to keep on doing it. So until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, build it yourself. That's what I do. Thanks for watching, everybody.